Anastasia's Zoom account. Thank you, Anastasia. This will go for 1 hour and will end at 2 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. If it runs long, we can continue the discussion in the after class discussion channel on the Chaos Wars Discord page. So Rem will be facilitating our meeting, so go ahead and take it away, Rem.
Thank you very much, Leita. So for those who aren't aware of what Peerage Council is, this is actually a great opportunity, surprisingly enough, that we get to host an online that is recorded and to listen back to. Essentially, what Peerage Council is a collection, the entirety of Belegarth and its community, not just peers. It is an opportunity for us to get together, and generally the concept at first was for face-to-face interaction, since we never really had that opportunity prior to meet together in a larger group, and within an hour's time, discuss topics that are relevant to the community, that are relevant to peers, that are relevant to non-peers, and use our collective brainstorming or resources or just general interest to become more aware of situations in our sport or things that are growing, and providing resources for each other. It can be kind of whatever you want, and that's kind of the joy of Peerage Council. So this is the 5th one for Chaos Wars, which is pretty insane to consider. I'm really happy for it. I'm glad you're all here. So essentially what we're going to break down this into is topics. Each topic has 10 minutes. And within that 10-minute time frame, the presenter will obviously present their topic, and then we'll have follow-up discussion. We divide it up into 10 minutes each because these topics can go on much longer than 10 minutes at times. But, you know, we have an hour of time. We want to consolidate these conversations so everyone gets a chance to speak. And then at the end of these topics, it's an open floor discussion. So anyone can jump in and bring up any topic that they want or further the discussion from there. And then after the hour is up, we're done. So today, we do have Sir Anastasia and then Squire Scuba Steve. Sir Anastasia will be starting first. Scuba Steve is running late, but he shall be joining us soon with his topic. But I will leave the floor to Sir Anastasia when she's ready with her topic of connections during quarantine and how do we do that. And I'll start the timer when you start talking.
Okay, you can hear me, yeah? I'm good? Or no? Yeah, okay. Mostly it's a question. How do we stay connected? So my realm is doing some like online classes and things, which even I have forgotten to attend, so that's embarrassing. This is my first time getting involved, and that was only because they needed me and my Zoom. I'm sorry I wasn't muted earlier, by the way. Anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to know what have people been doing that has been working for them. So obviously people directly reaching out to me worked for me to get me here. So what has been working for everybody else? And I'm going to mute myself again because I have a noisy cat.
Real quick before we get into individual resources in this topic, people who want to jump in and talk, let's go ahead and we have the chat function, a Zoom group chat function. Go ahead and just type, let's say the word next, and that will be your standing, and we'll go from person to person to person. And we'll try to make that as less chaotic as possible, not everyone jumbling in at the same time. Because this is a new experience, and we're figuring this out as we go. All right, so first we have Sir Araya and then Sir Nickel, and then we'll go from there.
So I made a cool video showing the practice techniques that I've been using for solo spear practice. So that's what I have out there.
All right, Sir Nickel.
Testing. Can you hear me now? Testing. Uh-oh, hang on. You can hear me?
We can hear you. We're all nodding.
Okay, sorry, I'm blind apparently. I just want to shout out Squire Scald and another new fighter we have who've actually been trying to do a social gathering thing with that Jackbox thing. That's what I see that they've been doing, and they've been getting some relatively successful stuff from both Wrath and the Shannara area. So I wasn't shout them out and said, I see them doing that, and I see that as a fun way to stay connected in these times. It isn't like sword fighting Tussin, but it's, community.
Excellent. Thank you, Sir Nickel. Squire Scald?
I'll piggyback off of that, since that's what I was going to mention. A lot of what we talked about at Peerage meeting at Battle for the Ring was the society aspect of Belegarth Medieval Combat Society, and in keeping with that, I felt it really important to maintain that sense of community through general socialization. So this is one of these things that we're going to continue to do throughout this time, in order to stay connected, to still have fun with one another, and of course to occasionally rib each other over the incredibly nerdy hobby that we all have. So we're having a lot of fun with that, and I would encourage anyone to join us. Thanks.
Yeah, I got to jump into that for one night, and that was a blast. Even the people I didn't really know that well, so it made it even more enjoyable to try to do Jackbox games. If anyone's familiar, you have to kind of play to your audience, and that was a gamble, but it was a fun gamble, and I had a great time. So thank you for setting that up. All right, Brianna, you're next, and then Sin after.
Hi. So things we've been doing in our realm include virtual game nights, which is super fun. I also go on the Facebook page every once in a while and just try to post fun, like interactive posts that people can get involved in. I've asked like lore questions and what are you making questions, and just basic how is everybody doing stuff. So that's kind of a thing we've been doing in our realm to keep engaged, and we also have a Discord now. So doing things that can help grow the things that we can work on right now, like garb making and stuff. I tried a game where it was like, okay, I'm gonna post a picture of myself with a weapon set, like in my ready pose, and then you pick me apart and fight me, and we'll fight verbally over Facebook, which kind of worked. It was fun anyways. It was a fun experiment.
That's fantastic. All right, Squire Sin.
So as far as RAF goes, we did our online arts and sciences tournament during early quarantine, which was kind of a fun little experiment and a great precursor for Chaos Wars. And then we've also been trying to help out with doing the Jackbox, which absolutely is wonderful. So thank you to Scald for putting that together. And then also Gelf specifically have been trying really hard we actually schedule 2 nights a week where it is oh my gosh, what does it stand for? It's HGH, where basically we just go and we hang out and we just chat for a whole night. Sometimes we have Dio play mixologist and just be like, Dio, here's the things that I have in my kitchen. What can we do? And so that has been really good to just kind of have just meetings where we pop in and out of, basically, or I guess a hangout where people can pop in and out as they want. They can stay as long as they want. Sometimes people will just show up and mute their mics and work on whatever they need to, but they'll still be present and still get to giggle with all of the fun stuff. And that's also been really good in helping us get to know some of the new people.
All right, Journeyman.
Cool. So I know what I've been leaning on heavily personally is just the Artificers Guild and the crafting half. So I've been super active in the guild and posting online and commenting on what people are making. And then I have some local Belgarim who are part of a private Facebook crafting people chat. So I've just been encouraging them to show off what they've been making and working on and keeping that chat active so that we can still have that local connection with our crafters.
Master Sven?
I'm a big fan of the tangible aspects of things, so I really appreciated the Wrath crafting tourney, the crafting proceedings that we're doing for Chaos, and also Thumbs' Thrifty Garb Challenge.
Excellent. We don't have anyone in the next queue. Go ahead and pop in there if you want to pause it. Any experience that you've had with making these connections during COVID and kind of keeping the community alive? Sir Anastasia?
So what I was going to ask is a lot of people listed just so many different activities. Are there different technologies that people have found have worked for them or have not worked for them? Would be my follow-up question.
All right, Sir Nickel first, and then Master Sven next.
Hello. Yes. So one thing that I attempted to do to open up the community was online Dungeons and Dragons. One problem that we seem to have, though, is a lack of people's understanding of how to use like the tech for it, and some people were just kind of hard to keep week after week after week. So it could have been something cool that the community could have used, but due to I think it was partially my lack of not tutoring people how to use like Roll20 and software like that, and a lack of consistency. It was hard to keep going and hard to start. So I will say, well, we might be able to do something fun with more D&D and tabletop role playing while we wait for the ability to hit each other with wacky bats. It might be better if we also I don't know. That makes something piggyback up. We tried D&D. It didn't seem to work though. I don't know why. Besides my failings.
That's worth trying. Master Sven next.
For kind of broad communications, I've been using Facebook pretty heavily for like face-to-face active. We're talking for an hour type of thing. Zoom has worked really well. I've also used the Google Suite fairly heavily for the chaos proceedings. I made a Google site for all of the arts and sciences stuff, and the rest of the Google Docs, slides, and spreadsheets. And if anyone needs help with the Google Suite, any of those apps, I am Google certified educator, so I can help you out with that if you need anything as far as Google goes.
All right, so we got about 30 seconds left, but we're going to go ahead and go through the rest of the remaining folks here, and then we'll see where we're at. So Squire Sin, even though you already stated exactly what you wanted to use, is there anything you wanted to add to those two?
So yeah, I was just going to say that we use a lot of Google Docs. So whether that's doing arts and sciences stuff, any kind of information share has been done through Google Docs. Any kind of, like when we did the arts and sciences, we had them submit it through Google Docs and emails. And then we had all of our judging done through that way as well. So it was really easy to just kind of share all of our documents and even just allow people to edit, everyone be editors on whatever documents they need. I'm actually utilizing that for Chaos Wars a bit, is having a Google Doc that I can edit with other people, and so we could actually edit it at the same time if necessary. And then Zoom has been absolutely super useful in just allowing for large meetings and large groups of people to get together and talk. So,
all right, Journeyman Leda, anything to add to your comment?
Not much, just I started utilizing it pretty heavily for organizing the classes, and Google Forms has been a wonder for getting entries and classes and everything organized for competitions.
All right, and Master Antoinette, go ahead and wrap us up.
I apparently accidentally privated my earlier next to Anna instead of putting it in the whole chat, because Discord or Zoom on my iPad is different than on my computer, I guess. But I was just gonna say Thunderguard is not really doing anything as a whole realm, and like this whole online socializing is fairly normal for me, and I think that's different than most people, because most of us are pretty used to socializing in like person, where because of my remoteness 90% of the year, online socialization is pretty normal for me. So this hasn't changed. Like, for some people, it may not have changed a whole awful lot if your unit is far away from you, or you have a huge unit that spans the whole country. Like, I know Horde does a lot of things online already, like even before this, because their population base is so spread apart. So for some people it may have changed like communication drastically, but we do have to consider that there are a number of people where it hasn't changed communication all that much for them because of their situation already.
All right, thank you. So to kind of wrap this topic up real quick, I personally, and I think we're kind of all in the same camp right now. If you're in the US, this isn't really going to go away anytime soon. A lot of events have already been canceled for the rest of the year, and even potentially the foreseeable early future of 2021. This is a growing topic. This topic is not going to end here. We don't have the be all end all of communication with each other. The best ways to make sure that our community is still getting together, even in online or far away formats. So, you know, and technology obviously is going to adapt kind of to our own situations. So we might see new tools in the future soon that can allow us to have D&D hosted online better. You know, can allow us to have our community get even closer together, even if we're stranded in our own homes for days on end, coming from personal experience. So I'm super excited to kind of see what the future holds, and obviously this conversation will continue. So let's keep an eye on that and help each other out and see what works. Scuba Steve, I do not believe is here yet. We had pretty light topics this year, so I'm going to open the floor to anyone who wants to start a conversation or for anything that they believe that they want to present to the community at whole. And if we don't have anything, then we'll figure it out from there. Kind of playing it off the cuff today.
Topic. So I was at an event once and I overheard some people complaining about unfortunate field fighting. And one person chimed in and they were like, oh, well, we had a lot of stuff happen this event. Whoever got knighted, someone else got headhunted, some unit did whatever trial. And I was agreeing with the original person to bring up the conversation, that I was also disappointed with the field fighting, because I don't know why people do this, but many times they schedule their trials and their unit events during field fighting. And so for us as peers knights, I don't think that we should be scheduling our events to kill fighting at events, which is what we're there for. So I would like to begin a more conscious effort for us to schedule our stuff at better times. So I would like to ask you guys to join me in that.
Okay, wonderful. There's a next coming up pretty quick here. So we're going to do the same exact thing. 10 minutes for this topic. If you are wanting to place your input, please go ahead and type next, and we'll go from there. So first and foremost, Sir Anastasia, and then we'll do Squierson.
Yes, just to make sure you guys can hear me. All right, wonderful topic. I'm an event coordinator, and this is the bane of my existence. Especially as someone who is trying to engineer an experience that is to create a community and to bring the community together in a positive way without everybody leaving, saying, the worst event ever, I hate you all, hope you all die. Which happens often, you know. So I just wanted to say some things that I try to do to encourage things to go my way as an event coordinator. Number one, I wish we could just make a rule and say, go away, do not do this. You can, you're allowed. If it's your event, you're paying for the insurance. It's your risk, your liability. You know, if they want to have a trial where they wear bowling balls on their head and then wear blindfolds and hit each other with reds, you can be like, no, that's your right. You know, it's your liability. And even if you're not paying for insurance, guess what? It's extra your liability because you'll be the one who actually pays out instead of the insurance company. So you can make a rule. However, Belegarth, people don't like rules. They're like, I don't know, cats, and they're squirrely and grumpy and just do bad things. So you've got to try to create a cultural revolution, which is needed because, and this is key, vets kill your events and realms because they know what they want and they don't appreciate that what they want is the destruction of our entire sport, unfortunately. They don't know that's what they want. That's what they're going to get, unfortunately. So what do? You should give people a space to do trials, and you should limit trials to that space so that trials don't happen in any other spaces. You should also create a schedule and encourage people to put their thing on that schedule. You should encourage resources to be in that area, like water or medics. And you should also tell people they can't be playing unless there's medics. If they're on your site and you're running this event, they need to have medics nearby for those trials. Otherwise, again, your liability. It doesn't mean you tell them no, but you need to nudge and push and scooch. You want to be annoying, but flexible for them to make sure it's done right. So provide them with resources, give them the things they need, make it fun, maybe give them extra resources, basically bribing them to have a good time in your safe space that you're trying to create for them. And also create blackout time zones. Like at Battle for the Ring, there are absolutely no activities other than field fighting scheduled from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. every fighting day. There are many activities at Battle for the Ring, all kinds of things, classes, social events, tournaments, blah, 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 all of it. But there's only one thing from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. It's my dirty secret, which is that there's nothing you can do except for go field fight right now. And what happens is it puts people on the field and people will have a memory of a large field. And that's what you need. You don't need the field huge all the time, but you need the event to show its people. And so that's why you want to create a schedule and really push people to use the schedule and push people where you want them to be pushed. And to create that experience so that people can attend classes, but also, either watch fighting. I mean, it's watching fighting is an activity too, but at the very least, everybody goes there. It's the only thing going on. And they don't know that there's nothing else going on. I know because I made the schedule, but they don't know. They'll be fine. That is my 2 cents. I mute now.
That's some good 2 cents. Squire Sin next, and then Master Antoinette next after that.
So obviously Anna definitely touched on the majority of that and did so very well. And always with the snaps. So with Chaos Wars, trying to schedule classes, since that's where a lot of my experience is, the easiest thing that we've been able to do, so there's only so much time in a week, right? Like it's a week, yes, but also there's a lot to do, especially with all of, like, we definitely don't have quite as many overlapping events. But what we with our classes do our best to do is, as Anna said, we basically make sure that there are some times that we do not schedule things. So like the big one for us, the big one for us is usually unit battles. And I want to say unit battles, realm battles, and chaos banner battles. So generally what we do with classes, we do not schedule classes, or if we do allow someone to schedule that time frame, we let them know that that is at their own risk, because it will either mean people not on the field, or it will mean that people may not show up to their class, because that is one of those things where it's going to hurt both sides. It's either going to hurt the field fighting because people decide to go to the class, or it's going to hurt the class because people decide to go field fighting. So the best thing that we do is we do our best to take the important things, or the things that people know they will show up for, and make sure that we are not overlapping those. I think that's all I have to say.
All right, Master Antoinette, and then Master Anige after.
So I find this is a larger issue in the Midwest than it is at events I attend, like Chaos Wars. And I don't know if that's because most Midwestern events are Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then go home by noon on Sunday instead of a week long, but are trying to cram all of the same amount of stuff into Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You guys are going to get a face full of cat here in a second. I apologize in advance. But so like at Oktoberfest, on any given day, there are probably 9 things going on while field fighting is still happening. Those things can include knights trials, meetings, classes, all the way down to like tournaments overlapping field fighting. And it's this is Jack, by the way. And so like it's crazy sauce. Like last year at Chaos, on the day that Gorlock and Feline did my master ceremony, there were 4 other people getting knighted and tournaments going on, all while Demox was trying to field people. And then later that evening, there was a horde thing. And so, like, it was just kind of nuts. Like, I missed EBF trials because they overlapped with my master's elevation, but there was nothing we could do about it because there was no other time for anything to happen. And so I find that, like, Armageddon, Spring Wars, Ockfest is the worst. But those Midwestern, like, weekend events are worse for what Sir Robin is talking about than, like, our events are in the West. I think because we have more time, or because Anna specifically schedules things in a way so that Bifter, while still being like a long weekend event, doesn't have those overlaps where like there was no schedule for Ockfest. No one knew what was going on this year. If I didn't write everything down that I needed to be to, yeah, Quinn just said it. Fest is definitely very business-y. And like I just don't know how you fix that when it's just been that way for so long, like in the Midwest. But I definitely say we do a better job at not overlapping things in the West than the Midwest does.
All right, we're at about 1:30, so we're gonna try to get a few more people in here. So next is Sir Anastasia.
So all I wanted to kind of say real quick, kind of launching off of Sin and Anastasia mentioned, is from my experience of like trying to schedule classes and stuff for an event, the biggest thing that made it challenging was often the fighting schedule wasn't released until much closer to the event. And so you had to get classes scheduled not knowing when the fighting was actually happening. And so if you are running an event, if you're helping with an event and you want things to not overlap your fighting, get that fighting schedule up first thing, the earliest that you can. And then everybody will have something to base their trials, their classes, their ceremonies off of. But if that schedule's not up, they're just guessing and the chips will fall where they may. So.
Excellent. All right, we only got really time for one more. So Brianna, I think you were next.
Yeah, I didn't have much to add other than just I think it would be good if we give ECs as much opportunity as possible to control the schedule and say, hey, I would like to run so-and-so's trial and it's going to take probably this long, or I don't know how long it's going to take, or I'd like to do it approximately this time, or to say, hey, I need to do this person's elevation. I'd like to have these people available, whatever, so that we can consider those things when we're scheduling.
Excellent. All right. So that's our timer for that one. Obviously, there's a lot more to discuss. A lot of people are interested in bringing this one back up. Again, this is a topic that will continue and will always continue as long as we have events. And my 2 cents on that is reach out to the people who've done events before and help them or have them give you resources on what worked, what didn't, and then you can try to make the perfect event from there. So from that point, Squire Scuba Steve is here. Sir Nickel, are you okay to relinquish your question to Squire Scuba Steve first, and then we can jump to your question after?
I don't know if you see my thumbs up. I'm saying, yeah, totally.
Oh,
No
wonderful.
problem.
Excellent. Thank you. There's a lot more people on the screen now, so I kind of lost track of where people are at, which I love to see. So Squire Scuba Steve, when you're ready, go ahead and you'll have 10 minutes for your discussion. For those who just joined us, essentially, we have 10 minutes per topic. If you want to discuss or add on to that topic, please type the word next in our group chat here, and we will call on you from there.
Alrighty. Hi, everybody. I'm Squire Scuba Steve. Late as always. So anyway, the thing I came to talk about is the BIPOC group for Belgium. Especially as a time right now, things kind of gotten a bit more focused on race as well as just identity as well. And a couple of weeks ago, Sir Anastasia was having a discussion about his identity being a matter in a Belegarth and being a hot-headed person and all that. I was like, you know what? Let's do that. So decided to make the group to be a more of a welcoming, safe space for people of color who are either wanting to get into our game or who are in our game. And that way they can have a place to discuss freely. It's pretty much in its infancy. We can't really do much like what I would want to do because, you know, like Corona. But the general goal is to have it be a place for not only recruitment, to say like, hey, if you're a person of color, if you're not feeling comfortable about just diving into a place full of like big white people, here's a place where people who are of an ethnic identity can come in, you can go there and just discuss everything, get a better lay of the land, and have better connections to those people of color. That way you're not just entering our big scary game alone. I'm not saying that we are scary at all. One of the things I aim for in the future is to try to have a little bit better local organization within that group. So like especially out in my realm, Wrath, we have a lot of people of different identities. Where you know we could meet up and say, hey, if you guys are cool with it, let's have like a little different practice. You know, try to recruit more people of color, try to get them in, have it be a little bit less intimidating, and give tools and supplies and help have that community. So pretty much it's a community within a community, and that's the general goal for it. That's the general vibe. But like I said, right now it's kind of just a place on Facebook where if you are, you know, a BIPOC person, feel free to enter. It's, you know, we're having like, you know, minor discussions about how we're feeling about this thing or how we're feeling about that thing. And we're just keeping it growing and filling up. And that's really all I got. I kind of had a homework assignment, so I couldn't present that much. Well, prepare that much last night.
That was great. Thank you, Squire Scuba Steve. We appreciate your topic. So first is Brianna, and then second is Squire Naga.
Sorry, I was just clapping because yes, please bring this topic to this group.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. All right, Squire Naga.
Yeah, this sounds so much like when House Valkyries first started being created, right? Like, they're, in one sense, it's incredibly uncharted territory, right? Like, you've never done anything like this before. But on the other side, like, I highly encourage you to reach out to House Valkyrie leadership and those who started House Valkyries. I can get you the list of those people and just people who have really like worked to help the organization of House Valkyries grow, because I think that we're going to find that there's a lot of similarities between the like BIPOC group and House Valkyries. And anytime you don't have to reinvent the wheel, don't spend your effort reinventing the wheel. There are resources out here for you. And if you, of course, if you ever need anything, like please feel free to reach out to myself or really anyone in this group anytime that you need that extra support. I, like, as allies, as peerage, right? Like I understand in the same way that I encourage men to talk to men who have issues with toxic masculinity because they're not going to listen to me. If you have a time where you need somebody to talk to a white person who's not listening, like tap one of us in anytime. We are here to support you. We're here to support your group.
All right, appreciate that. And I'll reach out sometime this week after I get my file taken care of.
Yeah.
You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, but the first steps are obviously important. So from there, Sir Anastasia.
So I just wanted to say I'm really happy that this group is getting created because just like when House Valkyries became created, it greatly increased the number of women participants in the sport. And, you know, this is going to be a really good thing. I'm an event coordinator, so mostly I'm talking to you because I wanted to say hi. I run Battle for the Ring in Southern California in Januaries that don't have COVID. I just wanted to let you know that one of the things my event can offer is that we have an indoor game room. It seats, I think, about 75 people. And we really like to get groups to have like social activities there, especially if we feel those social activities enhance the entire organization. And we usually provide those groups with a small budget. You know, that usually it's spent on like cookies and treats or something like that. But, you know, it could be, you know, we're flexible. So I just wanted to kind of let you know about those services and that ability to schedule meetings. It's not even our only meeting space. We have other, like, we have smaller, like fancy medieval tents as well, in addition to the large room. So I just wanted to let people know, especially for this group or any other groups really, you know, if you feel your group is serving the community at large, then, you know, we want to make sure that people can have access and know that these support networks exist.
Awesome, thank you.
All right. Anyone else want to jump in for this one?
I do want to jump back in if I can really quick.
Please do.
Just thinking about being conscious of the language that we are using. I know, at least in Stygia, and I think in some other places, we've worked really hard to stop calling things race wars, and I think hopefully that's obvious reasons. So things like apex predator, and also when we're talking about lore, if we stop talking about things as races, because I feel like it trivializes the struggles that people are having in real life when we make the game that we're playing about race, especially when it's very white dominated. So if we start using language like species instead of race, hopefully that can help with a culture shift and make people feel more comfortable.
Excellent. Squire Sin?
So speaking on that, thank you, Anya. Because speaking on that, Naga and I, as some of you may know, some of you may not, we were not as public about it as we should have been, are working, or I should say we have reworked Merchant Caravan, previously known as Slave Auction. And it is one of those things that we're still working on reworking it even further, because even what we did last year was still problematic in some ways. But we also need to be very, very adamant on language, because we received a lot of pushback last year in attempting to change it. And there are still people to this day that call it slave auction, either out of habit or because they refuse to see that change. And that is something that we need to be extremely adamant on, making sure that we are calling those people out, correcting them, and we are doing away with that kind of that specific term, and that calling anything involved with events a slave auction. And so I just wanted to be sure that we call that out right now, and everyone is informed as far as that, to please keep an eye on that, because people are very adamant about the old days and the good old days, and that is something that has been very difficult to get people to dissociate from both Chaos Wars and in general.
Quinn?
Hi, everybody. This is Quinn. I just wanted to jump in and say a couple of quick things. First, I really appreciate the idea, because I have to admit it hadn't really occurred to me, of changing use of the word race to the use of the word species. And I think, thank you for bringing that up. I think that's something that I'm certainly going to bring up in the Creatures of Beldag page. I know that there is definitely some language in the monster or RP vocabulary in Belegarth that I'm not super fond of. The one that comes up most often is pinky. I know in my own personal vernacular, I've been trying to change that to something like Humie or Grick. And so I think, you know, that's something that I'm working for personally, and a change that I hope to see in the broader monster community. And the other thing is that I know that from reading some monster lore, there's definitely some problematic elements to it. And I know one of my personal goals has been to try and create lore that is open and inviting to people of all races, sexes, genders, etc., etc. I know that certainly doesn't free us from the need and the duty to continue to do that work, but as others have said, I'm very glad that we're having this discussion, and I think I'll leave it at that. So thank you.
All right, any closing last thoughts? That's our timer for this topic. Okay. I just want to throw in my 2 cents there. I know for a lot of people, and we've seen this a lot, obviously, on Belegarth conversions or other social media channels regarding Belegarth, that there is some backlash with feeling like we're getting too nitty gritty, we're getting too quote unquote political. You know, we're in a very unique position with Peerage where we can be a large guiding force if need be and should be. Change is scary. Understanding that LARPing inside of a bubble is not really a thing is scary. You know, finding terms that are no longer what we interpreted as, you know, innocent and have to change those is worrisome and can be, you know, just feeling overwhelming. That's okay, as long as we take the steps that we need to make the changes for the better and listen to those in the community that have a stake in those changes, to make sure they feel more welcome and we're not using or doing things that are obviously not good for them. So just that's my 2 cents on that, because I know that everything kind of hit hard and fast, but you know, we should really be taking those steps, as small as they are, to the right side. All right, so the last topic I did have for today was Sir Nickel. Thank you for jumping in, my friend. So I'll leave the floor to you. We'll have 10 minutes, same situation as before. Hit next if you want to add in.
Okie dokie. Hello. Yes. So I'm going to start with a very, very fast anecdote. It was the week before everything crazy happened, before, you know, the plague, and everyone's fighting and everyone's having a great time. And we're talking to new people who are seeing Belegarth for the first time, and they're excited to be there. And we tell them, hey, we'll see you next week. And we know they're going to be there next week. But as we all know, next week never happened. So what I'm curious is, what as a community can we be doing to help recruitment and help those brand new fighters who maybe didn't even know Chaos Wars or Chaos Wars Online was a thing because they're not fully integrated into the community yet? How do we help these people who found this hobby and don't know if it's still alive anymore? How are we going to keep recruiting through this pandemic so that we can come out alive on the other end? We make the jokes, winter kills new fighters, or at least that's the joke I make with my friends. This is the longest winter we've ever had. How are we going to solve this so we don't show back up and it's just the veterans and we lose any fresh blood and we don't have any more fresh blood on the way? I'm going to open the floor after that.
No, that's a great question. Oh, am I Jessica? Okay. Todlin, you're first, followed by Sir Araya or Sir Robin. Oh, Todlin, you there?
There we go.
All right, excellent.
Sorry. So something that I think has been weirdly beneficial about this COVID experience is that we have been seeing a lot more the guilds and people crafting and creating gear and new weapons and all of that good stuff. And so currently it is very, very difficult to get new fighters because we can't fight people. But I think that we have a really good opportunity to reach out and maybe recruit people who are more interested in our crafting and the things that we make. And I know it's not the same as going to practice every week or being able to recruit new people that way, but I think people who are making things are likely to become a lot more invested in the sport long term. So it's not much, and it doesn't solve our finding new fighters problem, but we can always pick up that recruiting when this is over. But if we, are really active on our artificer pages and showing stuff like that on our realm pages, I think it's a really good opportunity to get people more invested long term than just fighting.
Thank you. Sir Araya or Sir Robin, or both?
I really should sign them because it's been either one of us, depending. I'll echo Toddlin a little bit there. It's part of what I was going to mention too, is we can only do what we can do right now, which obviously is just not going to include recruiting new fighters. But what we can do, like she said, is reach out to our crafting people. Our crafting people have friends who craft who don't Belegarth. Network that way. Bring other people in. And something else I don't want us to lose focus on as far as this goes is, it's going to be a lean recruiting season, and it's going to be really difficult to find new people and bring them in. So I think it's also really important that we focus on encouraging and building up the people that we have. We have a lot of people who haven't been around for a very long time in the game. We can start building them up. I saw a post on Kamigawa's page maybe yesterday about somebody who's new and just is looking for help on how to build a new sword and a new tunic. So as important as recruitment is, I think it's important that for this season, we kind of not necessarily entirely shift our focus, but have a bit of a dual focus where we're looking at not just recruiting, but at retaining and making sure that we're working really hard to keep the people we have invested so that when we can have practices again and we can bring in new fighters, we've got a strong core welcoming community who's built to do that.
Excellent, thank you. Squire Curbs?
Hello. So something that, this one's super, I imagine it's very important for everybody, but this is something that I've been focusing on a lot. Before the quarantine, we had a lot of new people in our realm, but I was super excited. They were very excited, and I want to retain them as best as possible. So things that I've been doing personally is just checking in on them. As far as they're my friends, even if it's not like, I try to get everybody as active on all the pages that we are all on. But even if it's just a message to that one player who showed up for a month before, hey, how are you doing? How's life? Goes a long way, you know what I mean? Brings them into the community. That being said, I can't be the only person who does this. This needs to happen with all your members of the group. So I try my best to connect all the players who are new together in any way possible. I created a way for them to game together. They played a game together. Either way, the more connections you can make from your players, the more they'll be inclined to return to the game. Part of that is the education. Education is a very awesome thing that we can do right now. Our players can't go out and fight on the field. They still can learn about Belegarth. They can still learn about fighting, and they can learn about the rules. Another thing that I have with a couple of my new officers from my realm, though they haven't been around a while, I want them to return to the field fully educated on the Book of War. So together we all have a challenge of passing the presidential marshal exam, and I have them, reviewing footage of fighting, and the thing about that is it spreads, especially with the presidential marshal exam. For those who have taken it, you can have somebody else. So once you have passed it, you can get somebody else to pass it. So I want that to be infectious across my realm when we return. I want everybody to return and go, hey, or even right now, hey, I can help you pass this exam. So when I go back to the field, I have a bunch of educated heralds, which is going to be important because we're all going to slough a little bit when we get back from not fighting for months and months. So that's another thing that hopefully has stayed on topic that I've been doing. But also, I missed it on technology earlier, but Discord is a really awesome tool that we've been using to make sure everybody's still connected. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Square Carps. So we're getting pretty close on time here, so we're going to do Garnet, and then we're going to have War Master Khan wrap it.
I was just going to say, I agree with Toddlin about crafting. I have a friend who I've been trying to convince for years to come out to Bell, and as soon as he learned that goblins were a thing, he got real into the idea all of a sudden because he loves goblins, and I was able to show him just a ton of murder masks from goblins. And that was really exciting to him, and now he's like all jazzed about it. So I really think that showing him the lore, I think now is a good time to build your lore if you haven't been working on that. Because I sent him the Geddon entry for goblins, and he's like, ooh, mech goblins are a thing. That's neat. So, yeah, I think working on crafting, working on lore, and just like, I think we also have a really good opportunity when this thing is over to take advantage of people having been stuck inside for a year and not getting any exercise and not getting any like socialization, because like our sport is really all of that in one. It's socialization, it's exercise, it's role play, it's crafting, it's all of these things. And like I think people have gone a little stir crazy, so maybe we can convince people like my friend who previously were like, yeah, I don't know, that might be a little too nerdy. We can just be like, listen, everything that you've wanted to do during quarantine, you can do it all at once. Come play Bell. It seemed to work for him, and he's already convincing his friends, so just thoughts.
Good thoughts. All right, War Master Khan, wrap us up.
Mostly all I was going to say was, in my capacity as 2 presidents, I've fielded personally like 9 to 13 emails of people being like, I always thought this thing seemed dumb, but then the quarantine happened and I'm like, oh, why stop doing the things that I want to do when like all this bullshit can happen? So like, yes, it's important to make sure that we keep the people that we had before, but I don't think that we're going to struggle to get people interested after the quarantine, because I think a lot of people are starting to go, why wait on things that I've wanted to do? That's it.
Thank you. All right, with that topic, we're gonna have to wrap it up. We're at that 10-minute. We're getting real close to 2 o'clock, and I don't want to kill it too bad, but I know Master and Nij wanted to talk briefly about something, so let's give that 3 minutes, and then we'll wrap up, and we'll call it. Sound good? All right, let's do it.
Okay, just real quick, I had a kind of question in regards to the language topic. Do you guys think that there's anything problematic with the guild's term of masters?
No.
No.
Like.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Good question. All right, so we're at 1:55. We will start wrapping this up. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the Peerage Council. If this is your first, thank you. Welcome. We love having you. This is for everyone, not just people that are pursuing the path or have titles. This is a discussion about the community and us coming together so we can all get on the same track or support each other with new endeavors. I want to do a quick shout out to the event coordinators that helped build our first online Chaos Wars, which is not an easy task, so bear with me. Obviously, Dop, Antoinette, Hobbit, Leita, Hakan, Scald, Aphex, Demox, and Sin, and then our techs, Len, Alex, and Haley. I'm gonna say Haley. And then a shout out to Sir Anastasia as well, obviously. Holly, my apologies, Holly, thank you. And a shout out to Sir Anastasia, because without her premium Zoom account, this wouldn't be a thing. So thank you, all of you, thank you. You are treading new ground or learning new things. This is super exciting, and I loved having every single one of you. Please feel free to bring this format back to your local areas, back to your local events. This is for everyone. This is fantastic. Shout out to Squire Carps. So, you know, in these regards, this is for us. This is for making sure that our community grows in the right direction and we can support each other properly. All right, y'all, I'm going to leave it here. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you in some other classes. Bye.
Can we get a big vocal huzzah for all the volunteers?
Huzzah!
Yeah. Huzzah!
Yeehaw!
Hey, that's close. That's close enough.
Found my unmute button. Huzzah!
Hi, everyone.
Bye.
I'm going to end this meeting and I'll kick everyone out in the hopes that we can get the morning classes recording up and going. In 3 minutes, Squire Sin and Squire Naga will be doing a presentation on flirting and consent through the exact same Zoom link. So, continue these discussions on the Chaos Wars Discord / on Facebook. See you in a few seconds.